G'day everyone. This is going to be a short tutorial on how to configure SQLite for Mac, obviously, and also to install an extra bit of software, a text editing software for writing your SQL statements. So, okay, the first thing I'm just going to show you to do. Oh, before I begin, I only just started using a Mac this afternoon, so I'm doing things probably the very slow way, and there's probably quicker ways to do it with shortcuts and whatnot. You'll just have to bear with me. I'll try and be as quick as possible. What I have done though is I've created a folder on the desktop called IMB122. Now the reason why I'm going to do that is because SQLite works really well if everything is contained within the one directory. So that's why I'm creating this one, IMB122, and therefore we're going to store the databases in here, we're going to store the actual application within here, and then any other extra files that we're going to use, i.e. the SQL documents that we're going to be creating later, all in the one directory. So at the moment, you'll see that all I've got within here is the DreamHome database. Now I downloaded this from the from Blackboard. If you just go additional resources, I believe it is, under the SQL stuff, you'll see that one of the first databases is the DreamHome database. So I've just downloaded it and I've put it into that folder. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get SQLite. So I'm going to Google SQLite. It'll be the first thing that comes up. Go to download, and what we're going to do is we are going to download the precompiled binaries for Mac OS X x86. Now they may have a 64-bit. I don't know the rules and regulations when it comes to Mac about running 32-bit applications in 64-bit environments. This is a 32-bit environment, and that's the only way that that's the only video that I'm going to do. So if there's any extra things that need to be done, can you please email them through to me, or if there is no issues whatsoever, if you can just send me a message to let me know that everything's okay between the different architectures. So we're going to download this file. So it goes to downloads. So I'm going to go to this folder, and you'll have to bear with me, I'm very slow at the moment. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to put this file into this folder here. So I'm just going to drag and drop. I believe you can just drag and drop. Yes, beautiful, excellent. So now in this folder here, I'll just clear this. Let me just get rid of that. I've got the DreamHome database. Now I think there's 3 or 4 databases, but I'm just going to use DreamHome to illustrate all the examples for this one, and the SQLite file. So the last thing we need is this extra application for creating your SQL documents, or sorry, your SQL, they are SQL documents. So to do this, you just go to the Apple Store, so www.apple.com, and just give it a sec to load up. I apologize. Go to the search bar and type in Text Wrangler. So it should come up. Just give it a sec. So scroll down. It's this one here. It's a freeware application. Obviously, I'm getting it off the Apple side, so everything's hunky-dory in terms of how it's going to work. It's not going to affect your system. There's no viruses or anything like that. So click download. So I'm just going to let it download. It's downloading now, so it won't take that long. Just give it a sec. Sorry, it's a relatively small, obviously 12.1 megabytes. Okay, so it's going to mount the image which we've got here, so I can close this. I'll delete that in a second, and what we're going to do is we're going to add this to the applications. So let it do that. It won't take long, obviously. Okay, and then we can close this. We can now close this. We don't need this any longer. I forget, and then if you go to unmount it, I know there would be better ways of doing it, but this is the way that I've learnt. We can unmount it that way, and in order to get rid of the file, because we no longer need it, I'm going to go to David Galea for me, downloads, and so I'm going to now delete this. So file, move to trash. Okay, good. So now I've got rid of everything. You don't need to do that. I mean, I'm just sort of keeping it clean as I go along. Okay, so now what we need to do is, well, now I just need to show you how to work everything together. So application, so we need to open it up in the terminal. So the way that you get to your terminal, go to your hard drive, applications. If you scroll down to utilities, open this one up. Just give it a sec. There we go. We've got terminal. So you can add that as a shortcut onto your dock bar, I believe it's called. I'm just going to leave it as it is. So it's, yeah, anyway. Okay. Right, so now we're in the terminal. The first thing that we need to do, obviously, is I want to navigate to this directory. So I'm sure you guys know what you're doing. This is very similar to Linux commands. So I'm going to have a look to see what's in there. So cd desktop, change direct, and then have a look to see what's in here. So cd imb tab to complete the folder. Okay, so let's have a look. Everything's in there. Okay, so to open the actual the file itself, or to open the application, we just type SQLite 3, and then we pass it an argument. It's a C application, so you can pass it an argument similarly if it was a C++ or Java. So I'm going to type DreamHome. Okay, and if you've done everything correctly, you'll see that it'll come up with these few text statements: SQLite, blah blah blah. Enter SQL statements terminated with a semicolon. So firstly, to make sure that we've opened the database correctly, we're going to type .tables, and we can see that it's got a listing of all the tables there, which is exactly what we want. So what I want to do here is I'm going to write a very basic SQL statement to select everything from the branch table. So I can do that directly in SQLite, and once again, you'll see that with Text Wrangler, it'll sort of seem very cumbersome to do for just this one-line operation, but as the semester progresses and we start doing really, really lengthy SQL, it's so much nicer if you've got a really nice text development environment to do your SQL. So in order to select everything from the branch table, you type select. The star means it's a wildcard. It means select all columns from, and then you give it the table name, branch, and that's it. So it's come up. Unfortunately, with SQLite, everything looks a bit ugly in the general format or the default format. You'll notice that there's no column headers and that the columns are not set up with equal width. So we can change that. We can turn the column headers on by typing headers on, and then if we want to change the mode of this so that it's lined up column wise, we can type .mode column, and then if we run the previous statement, and the way that we can get there is just by hitting the up key. You'll notice now it comes out in a much more prettier like format. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to install Text Wrangler. I apologize, we've already installed Text Wrangler to now use Text Wrangler to actually generate our SQL files. So I'm going to go to my applications. Okay, so once again you go to your hard drive. I'm sure there's quicker ways of doing this. This is just the way that I know how to do it. And we open up Text Wrangler. So yep, click open. Just give it a sec. Okay, so close this all down. You can close all those folders, it's up to you. Okay, so this is the text editor. Skip registration. You can register it if you want. Close this, sorry. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to change the language so that it's SQL. So in order to do that, you click Edit, Text Options. Firstly, we may as well throw line numbers in, though you don't have to. And then we scroll down. So, sorry, I've gone to language here, obviously, and you'll see that there's a variety of languages you can develop within. However, I'm just going to use SQL generic. That's all we need for this semester. So SQL generic, click OK. I'm not sure if that saves as a default so that every time that you open it, it will automatically default into that, but you can definitely do that every time. It's a quick and easy thing to do. So we're going to type the exact same command. So select all from branch. Now you'll see the reason why I prefer to do it in an environment like this is because not only does it look nicer, but it actually highlights the SQL keywords in blue, which is standard SQL procedure. So anyway, that's all there is to it for this command, obviously. So now we're going to save this. So file, text wrangler, so file, save as. I'm going to call it Q1 as in query 1. You have to give it an extension, .sql. Now I don't know how to navigate directly to that folder I had before, but if I put it onto the desktop, I know how to drag and drop it. So I'm going to save that. So now I can move this down. I'm going to drag this into here, which is good. So let's just double check that it's all in there, q1.sql. So now if I want to run that file, all I need to do is to type, because it's in this directory, and the way that SQLite works is that it always, you can pass it a full directory of a file that's located anywhere in your system. However, if you just want to be able to pass it file names, it just looks for the directory that the application has been called within. So that's why if we keep everything in the one folder, we're perfectly fine. So to read that file, we use the .read command, and then we just pass it the name, which is q1.sql. And if I've done everything correctly, no semicolon, it should produce the same output as what we've got above, which it does. So that's all we need to do for this session. Well, should I say for this tutorial. I apologize if I have done things a slow way. I'm sure there's better ways of doing it. That's just the way that I knew how to get it working. And this is something that I would prefer you to use, but it's completely up to you. You don't have to use Text Wrangler in order to generate your SQL. You could do it in a normal text editor with no SQL plugin, and you could run it that way, or you could run everything in SQLite if you want to. But like I said, it might seem easier to start off with to do it in the terminal directly through SQLite, but in like 3 or 4 weeks when the commands or the SQL statements are literally 10, 15, 20 lines long, you're going to be thankful that you can do it in a nice organized environment like Text Wrangler. Okay, so just lastly, to exit out of the application, we just type .exit, and that's it. And so then to close the terminal, obviously we close it. And that's all there is. So anyway, I hope this tutorial was informative, and I apologize if I took the long way about doing things. And like I said, please comment, send me any messages if there's any issues whatsoever, and I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as possible. Okay, thank you.